Now, when it comes to putting, I would say putting is probably one of the strongest parts of my game and historically has been. However, and you'll see from these next couple of clips, that I am struggling a little bit with those shorter putts. It's not even got in my head, but I tend to miss the odd one. And I would say that probably I'm a little bit of a streaky putter because I can hole some of the longest putts out on the golf course. However, I can miss a few of the short ones. So I thought today we would team up with HackMotion to take a closer look at my putting. If there's nothing to worry about, then I'm happy with that. However, if there's something out there that can help me just hold a few more of those shorter ones, then maybe HackMotion might be able to find it. Let's take a closer look with a few putts. Now, I would say these are the length of putts that I'm talking about when I get out onto the golf course, that I do miss the odd one that I feel that I should hold. And for lots of us, if you think about it, when you've got a putt of around 3 or 4 feet long, like I've got here in front of me, you have this expectation level that really you shouldn't be missing this putt. There's not going to be a huge amounts of break on it, especially with this particular putt, which is almost straight. But from an emotional point of view, we really dive into the fact that we expect ourselves to hold it. Therefore, we put more pressure on ourselves to hold this length of putt. And I understand you may be a golfer that does struggle with this particular length of putt, and there's always going to be a percentage that you're going to miss. That is the reality. From a tour player's point of view, if you get a 3-foot putt, chances are they're going to probably miss 1 out of 10 putts that they hit from this particular length. And I've got a little drill that I focus on that really kind of gets me from an emotional point of view to focus more on what I'm trying to achieve rather than what I'm not trying to achieve. And when I say not trying to achieve, meaning what I'm focusing on to not miss the putt. And for me, to take away that thought of missing the putt, I focus on something completely different. Once I've got myself into position to set up to that putt and I've got my direction that I'm trying to basically hit the ball to, I pick a spot between the club face and the ball, and this spot is going to be a blade of grass. That my focus is on that and not the actual putting stroke itself. I see so many players out there that kind of follow the putter back or even want to see that ball go as quickly as they've hit it, and that's where the head comes up, the body comes up, and we start to push and pull putts. By focusing on a small speck between the face of the putter and your ball is going to really focus on keeping your body down and allow you to be able to hit that stroke without focusing on the result. So I've got my HackMotion system attached to my arm. I'm going into the app, I'm tapping on that putter, and then what I'm going to do is press again for the new practice session. I need to start to calibrate this system to the phone. So I'm going to go through that process. Once I'm in that position, press in position so it's happy. Then I bring it up to that 30, 45 degree point, and now you can see from that I'm now in the perfect setup position. My hand is now absolutely spot on. So I'm going to start the practice session now, and it's going to ask me to hit 5 putts. Okay, as you can see, I have hit now my 5 putts. It's going to give me a bit of an overview now of exactly what is going on in a number of different areas. So if I go to the overview, you can see here that it's highlighted a few areas. The flexion extension, it's saying that I'm slightly too extended throughout my putt, and we'll take a closer look at that. My ulnar and radial deviation, which is kind of where my hand kind of sits on the putter. So is it too up this way or is it too down this way, which can ultimately affect the stroke itself and the direction of which way you're trying to go. And then it's saying that my timing, my ratio is slightly under target. So we'll take a closer look at that in just a moment as well. But let's take a little look at see what it means by me being slightly too extended. And it said that I'm basically adding too much cupping of the wrist coming in through the putt. Now, the problem with having too much cupping in the wrist, number one is we'll have a little look at where it actually is. So is it as I come into impact? And if it's as I come into impact, then you're going to get a little bit of inconsistency, certainly with The shorter parts, you're going to notice it maybe a little bit more because I'm going to possibly add a little bit more loft onto the putter, but also I'm going to possibly even shut and open and close the face down depending on what is kind of going on there. Now, if I add too much loft, then what's going to happen is that ball's going to jump pretty quickly, and we're going to get that ball not to necessarily roll but hop up in the air, and when it lands it could land on something and move it offline, so that could be a problem that's kind of coming into there. So it's saying that 60% of the time I am in range, but 40% of the time I'm a little bit out of range, so I'm getting too much cupping 40% of my putts. So let's try and fix the issue. So it's asked me to stand over this putt in my address position, and then it's going to tell me whether I've got too much kind of extension this way or too much flexion this way. So I'm just trying to find that little green spot, which is going to enable me to get myself into the perfect spot, which is about there, and now I can go ahead and make the putt. Okay, again, +1, too much extension in that one. So I'm going to just try and feel as though I keep that wrist nice and firm throughout the putt. It liked that one. Okay, so that's given me now a feel of what it likes, not only at setup but also through impact as well. It kind of liked that one. It jumped at me a little bit at address, so I wasn't quite ready, but it gave me the green light as I came through into impact, so that's a positive one. Yeah, I'm definitely getting the sense that I'm more connected with my body and not using my hands really at all. It's almost like everything down towards the grip end of this putter is very static. Didn't like that, too much extension, so I felt that kind of go on me through impact. I feel like address position I'm really comfortable with and happy with. Just as I come through impact, can I get the sense of almost like holding that wrist position more there and then rolling up on top of the ball a little bit more, almost feeling like I'm putting a little bit of topspin on it. So I feel like we're getting somewhere with this now because I've hit quite a few putts, and the sensation that I've got at this moment in time is that I'm going to get the feeling of kind of, as I come through, I'm going to maintain this position at address and then almost like come up on the ball, so it almost like feels like I'm keeping the loft on the putter that I've got at address, but as I kind of come through I want to feel like I'm maintaining that loft, so keeping those hands in that position and then allow that putter to kind of roll up and over the top of the ball, almost like getting the sense of almost hitting like a little bit of topspin on it as I come through, like getting it to hit slightly above the equator of the golf ball. And that feeling is giving me almost like a green light every single time. There you go, green light every time. However, the feeling when it gives me the red light, which I would say I'm definitely somebody that would do that one right there, which is giving me +5 in the extension. And what I've done there is, as I've kind of come into impact, I've kind of allowed the putter to kind of raise up. So as a release of the putter, people feeling this, they might feel like they want the putter to kind of work under their hands, a bit like if you're in a chip shot, to get the sense of releasing that club under your hands. Well, all that's doing is, by doing that, my hands are taking over, adding lots of loft into it, and that's where I'm getting that kind of extension into that left wrist position, which is causing a little bit of that inconsistency that we're seeing out on the golf course. So drill finished, and now I've gone from, what was it, 60% of the time I was able to hit my, well, the perfect position. Now I've got 89% of the time I'm hitting that perfect position. So the drill is definitely helping me hit my target. It's interesting here though, is it's saying at 11% I'm obviously not, or I'm too extended. Well, 2 or 3 of those putts that I've hit there, I've exaggerated just to get a sensation of that. So you could say that probably I'm closer to 95% of the time now I'm hitting the correct range, the correct target for me. Now the next part we talked about was the fact that my putting stroke from a ratio point of view was too fast. Now I find this quite fascinating because I've never really thought about the pace or the ratio of my putting stroke. And a ratio for me kind of, or timing, is that transition from kind of backstroke into the downstroke. And what it's saying is that I'm probably a little bit too quick, almost like wanting to get the putt over and done with a little bit quicker than I should do. So it's saying that 67% of the time I'm too fast when it comes to my putting. So We're going to go through a little metronome drill now that it's going to give me. It's going to set me up at the 75 mark, and then I've got to hit a few putts. So let's give that a go. So metronome helps your putt with more of an even stroke. So adjust the tempo to swing faster or slower. So I'm going to put the metronome on in the area that it wants me to be on at 75. Should we give that a go? That is really slow. It feels like ridiculously slow. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. Should we have a little look? Well, a few putts there using that metronome. I've got to say, what it said to me was that possibly my transition from into the downswing, let's say from the backswing into the downswing, was a little bit, probably a little bit jerky. So it's almost getting the sensation that I'm trying to get almost like a little bit more of a flow into my putting stroke. And you got to think, if you're a little bit jerky into the putt from the backswing into the downswing, you can start to use, again, your hands a little bit too much to create that transition from the top. So I think definitely by focusing on this as a move, it's going to give me that sensation that I'm using maybe my bigger muscles, maybe my elbows tucked in, arms working together with the body. I think we're really going to start to see hopefully some benefits. It's really small, but again, these are small things that can make you miss that 1 or 2 putts in a round, which is going to, well, have a massive knock on, not only on your score, but also your confidence as you go through your round. Well, there you go. There's a couple of things that I've got to, let's say, work on when it comes to my putting. I'd like to hear though down in the comments, have you got HackMotion? Are you using HackMotion to help with your putting stroke or any part of your game? I feel like some of the little tips it's given me to kind of work with today hopefully will really help me, but it's given me a bit more of an understanding of why I may be missing just the odd 1 or 2 putts during the round. But if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. A big thank you to HackMotion for being involved with this video, and we'll see you again, or we'll see you on the next video.